I'd like to introduce Erin from the United States, who takes LDN for Hypopituitary, or as it's sometimes called, secondary adrenal insufficiency, Hashimoto's Thyroiditis, Lupus and Depression. Thank you for joining me, Erin.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Could you tell us when you first started to become sick? How old were you?
Well, I would say I noticed it was after the birth of my third daughter, and that would be approximately 13 years ago, that I was becoming increasingly fatigued and just not handling stress well at all. And we discovered at that point that I had that my thyroid was underactive, and I started taking some T4 medication, which, you know, it kind of sort of helped, but I never really felt quite back to normal. And over the years following that birth, but especially after the birth of my next son, which was, my son, which was, 10 years ago, almost 11, then I fell into a deeper state of ill health where lupus came out, and we discovered that my hypothyroidism was actually Hashimoto's thyroiditis, so it was the autoimmune form of the condition. And I was I was depressed, I was exhausted, I was in pain, and we were able to get my autoimmune conditions under relative control within a couple of years, doing some anti-inflammatories and things like that. But since then, I have always had lingering symptoms. So since the birth of my son, my periods never came back, so I never had menstrual cycles again. I've always suffered from depression, nearly chronic, just very easily brought low. I've always suffered from extreme irritability, just very low tolerance to stress, any sort of loud noises, and I'd just, lash out. It would make me come unglued. And I was also having extreme constipation and just a lot of lingering, what I would call hypothyroid symptoms, or low adrenal symptoms. But no one ever checked my adrenals at that point. So about a year ago, I started doing some investigating on my own, and I discovered that I was showing symptoms of a low adrenal function. And I started contacting, through the help of my doctor and through the help of some forums on the internet, I was able to piece together some tests that I might benefit from. And come to find out, last October we came up with the diagnosis of Hypopituitary. So I have the reason that I wasn't cycling, and the reason that I had such low stress tolerance was because my pituitary couldn't communicate with my other endocrine glands the need for the hormones that my body needs for my, ovulation and my cycles. It couldn't communicate it for the adequate amounts of cortisol to deal with stress. And I was at that time on one of the LDN forums because someone had suggested that it was a great forum to be on, and I hadn't really heard of LDN, but they said it helps thyroid problems, so I joined the forum. I started learning about it. I was in the process of optimizing my thyroid meds, getting switched over from T4 to T3, which is a more potent thyroid medication. And at the point at which I thought I had finally fairly optimized my thyroid, things were going a lot better. I was working on my iron levels, which were low, and my symptoms of low thyroid were beginning to resolve on the different thyroid medications. The symptoms that weren't resolving were my depression. And I had also heard that LDN on the forum, that it can support the hypothalamus, adrenal, pituitary, or I should say the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis, the HPA axis, which is typically the problem in hypopituitary. I heard it could support that. So I decided that once I optimized my thyroid meds as much as I could, I was going to try LDN. That came about just before the turn of the new year, so I think it was December 27th, 2013, I decided to go ahead and start the LDN. Starting December 28th, 2013, I have not been depressed one day since. It had resolved all of my depression from day one.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it is unbelievable. It brings me to tears to think about, because I have suffered under such chronic depression. And I think it was due to just, low serotonin levels is all I can really think, because I know that the LDN supports those serotonin levels, and no one ever figured it out, but the LDN resolved it, and I have not been depressed day one. So that was resolved, and then within a week of taking the LDN, I was able to drop 1/3 of my thyroid medication. I track my vitals pretty religiously, so I am constantly aware of my blood pressure, my heart rate, and my body temperature. And based on those vitals, I could tell that I just didn't need another dose that I normally take. So I dropped one of my doses during the day, and I did fine. Mm-hmm. And my vitals stayed great. So then, as I was following the protocol of moving up on the LDN a month later, so in February, when I went from 1.5 milligrams of LDN to 3 milligrams of LDN, a week after I made that change, I was able to reduce my thyroid medication again by 1/3. So I am now down. I was able within just under 2 months able to reduce my thyroid medication by 2/3 and resolve all of my depression. And I'm still looking forward to see if it fixes any of my other hormone problems. I just went in today actually for some retesting of my sex hormones, and looking to see if maybe, over time it might improve those levels naturally. I'm not sure what other magic it's going to do to my system, but I am utterly grateful for LDN, and I'm so pleased with the results that I've had now. I did have some sleep issues with it, but those are gone. And I'm just very, very happy with it. And as I was telling a fellow a friend who was asking me about it for their own health, I said, you couldn't pry it from my cold, dead hands.
That's amazing, isn't it? Isn't that an amazing story?
It is. I'm just, I'm so grateful. I honestly, I suffered with depression for so long, just, 4 out of 7 days a week probably. And I just I feel like a new person.
Oh, that is really good. I'm so pleased for you. Well, keep me posted. Let me know how you get on in, say, a year's time. That would be very interesting.
Yes, I will definitely do that.
Thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Erin.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on, and I hope it's encouraged other people, or can encourage others to try the LDN. I think it's definitely worth a try for some of these issues we have. It's an amazing resource.